Oh, believe it or not, yes, it's just after Christmas, still December, but we need to seed our first plant for next year. That's right, this early. So I don't mind. I don't like the winter, so this gets me excited. Does anyone want to take a guess at what the first plant we seed is? 3, 2, 1. If you guessed eucalyptus, you're right. I love eucalyptus, but it takes forever. And that's why I got to seed it at the end of December. And that way, when spring rolls around, I'll have a plant that's already a foot to 2 feet tall for you. And you take that home, and we have a short growing season here in the Northeast. That plant will get 9 feet tall by the end of the fall. You can harvest it, make a bunch of beautiful bouquets. Here, I'll put a picture up of the one I grew last year so that you can see. All I did was plant it in the ground in my perennial garden, did nothing special to it, just watered it, and it got to be 9 feet tall by the end of the year. I had so many beautiful bunches, but we love eucalyptus. You can keep it, you can grow it in a pot, does not have to grow in the ground, it just won't grow as large, but it's super easy to grow. Even though it sounds fancy and different and might be complicated, it's not. Very easy to grow up here. It won't survive the winter, so we treat it like an annual. Yes, you can grow it in the house, but it's really hard because eucalyptus is just such a sun-loving plant that you're going to need a big-time grow light to keep this thing going. But it's doable. For me, I just like to treat it like an annual. In the ground, get nice and big, enjoy it all season, cut it, make a bunch of beautiful bunches you can hang in the shower, and you get that smell and that aroma. You can give them off as gifts or mix them in with other flower bouquets. I got a bunch to seed. Let me take you along with how I seed a lot of stuff quickly. So eucalyptus seed is very small, super tiny. It's really can be a difficult thing to work with. So a lot of times people will seed them in, cell flats like this. But this requires you making sure that one tiny seed falls into each little cell. And it's doable, but it can take a while. So here's a trick that if you have a lot of seeds of a certain variety to plant, whether they're small seeds, big seeds, doesn't matter. Forget about the cell tray. And I just like to use an open flat like this. So let me show you how I do it. First, I'm just gonna fill this up. So once you have your tray full, I like to drop it a few times just to compact it a little bit. And it should be heaping. And then just find yourself a wood stick or something. And I just draw it along the top like this. Just smooth it out so that it's all nice and level. Should look just like that. And with this silver dollar eucalyptus that I'm seeding, I have 250 seeds in this packet. So I'm gonna make 5 rows. And I'm gonna put 50 seeds in each. Now to make my rows, you just need a tool. This is just a little chunk of wood, but anything will do. And you want it about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. You don't want the rows too wide. So typically I'll start on the edge and I'll leave about a 1/2 inch buffer. And I'm just gonna lightly press this down. I'm not trying to compact the soil too much. I'm basically just giving myself a line to seed in so that they're nice and straight. Once I get that 2 outside ones done, I'm going to split the middle. And now I have even sides to make my 4th and 5th rows. And these don't have to be perfect, so don't stress out. They're just germinating seeds here, and they're going to be going into their own containers pretty quickly. So that's what it should look like. As I zoom in, you can kind of see the light depression that I did make the rows. And so now it's time to seed. And I get myself a little seeding tool here. I got a little tapper. You can use anything, a pen, piece of metal works, but basically I'm just going to use this to kind of tap the seeds in. Whenever I'm seeding a lot of seeds, I don't like to put all of the seeds in at once. Just in case you drop it or something happens, you don't lose them all. So I typically do about half. I put some of these into my hand. You can see how tiny these seeds really are. And that's why I love this method. I'm just going to go along in a continuous motion and tap these seeds. And I try to do it gradually. And you don't want to stop. You just want to keep going. Otherwise, you're going to get a buildup. You can always go back and do more. Now I'm going to dump the rest in. I'm going to try to fill in anywhere where I see any holes. Now is when you can stop and kind of see where you missed. And just like that, in about 30 seconds, we seeded 250 plants. Okay, now that we have our seeds in our tray, I'm gonna lightly cover them with vermiculite. I like to use vermiculite because it lets the light through. Here you can see it's really fine and it really retains moisture. So if things dry out, it really helps keep those seeds nice and moist. It really retains the water a lot more than potting mix and soil does. So I'm just gonna go over and lightly sprinkle the vermiculite over the seed rows. And I'm really just covering them about 1/4 of an inch, just lightly. So I really want the light to penetrate, get these seeds started quickly. That's how it should look. Now we have to bring this inside to germinate because the greenhouse is kept at 50 degrees in the winter, and that's a little too cold. So my house is 70 degrees. I got a nice grow light. So I'm gonna wet this. The last step is our humidity dome. So I can use a shallow one here because I'm not propagating tall plants. These are seeds. And I'm just basically, these things are designed to mist. So once you have it misted, you cover this. Fits perfectly. Now we have our own little grow chamber. So I check this daily to see if it needs any misting. So the humidity just retains itself and the moisture inside. And then we'll check back in a few weeks. These things should sprout. And then I'll show you how to plant them. Thanks for watching. If you have a lot of the same variety of seeds, this method works really well. It's super fast. And it's just as easy to transplant into their next containers when we're done.